So I found this Prager U video that's like a couple years old. I found it like a couple months ago, but I wanted to talk about it on stream about how utterly fucking dumb it is. Well, I haven't even like watched the whole thing yet. Just it's a Prager U video. It's going to be loaded with fucking utter stupidity. We fuck brain melty. This is kind of early for me to be on. I'm usually I don't know. Nah, I stream it this time usually. It's just I'm usually like tired during this part of the day. I usually won't wake up until like 10 or 11 in the morning. But yeah, so I found this particularly bad piece of PragerU garbage, left or liberal. It starts off with a very like starts off on like a very important subject that needs to be clarified, that leftism and liberalism are in fact not the same, but then immediately goes into making some really stupid and outrageous assertions.
What's the difference between a liberal and a leftist? This question stumps most people because they think liberal and left are essentially the same.
That is the one like thing that's actually remotely fucking true, or at least like not misleading at all in this video. A lot of people do think liberal and leftist are the same, and they're totally fucking not. But this is the one piece of actual good information that you will get in this entire fucking video here. And by good, I just mean like simply true. The rest of this is pure bullshit.
But they're not. In fact, liberalism and leftism have almost nothing in common. But the left has appropriated the
I fucking hate this guy, and also, this is right where the bullshit starts.
word liberal so effectively, almost everyone, liberals, leftists, and conservatives, thinks they are synonymous.
Excuse me? Yeah, no, that's not the fucking case at all. That is so fucking stupid. Really, it's actually the, for Stream Raiders? Here, I'll explain that real quick. So yeah, just click that link, or if you have the other link in chat, that one will work too. And then just you just simply place a guy on the battlefield, and then at the end of the countdown clock in the corner of my screen, we go do the we watch the battle on my stream. And there's like generally 4 different types of unit, or there's 5 different types of units: melee, assassin, duh. And there's 2 types of assassins: explosive and dagger. Armored, ranged, and support. And the units, they all have their own various traits. You can click on the unit in your little like bar to place the unit, to look over like what its traits are, and then just drag it onto one of the blue areas of the battlefield. Probably a good idea to keep it somewhere near my captain, because we're getting ambushed on this one. But anyways, so back to this serious line of bullshit he spews here.
Liberals, leftists, the word liberal not. In fact, liberalism and leftism have almost nothing in common. But the left has appropriated the word liberal so effectively, almost everyone, liberals, leftists, and conservatives, thinks they are synonymous.
So right off the bat, he is throwing some fucking bullshit in our faces. This isn't really what actually happens. What actually happens is, especially in the United States, the liberals will adopt, the like centrist neolibs will adopt leftist positions and leftist ideals to try to like appeal to people, but then they never actually follow up on it. They spew the platitudes and then never actually fucking like create any real solutions, other than maybe little band-aid things like rent control, which doesn't really actually work very well. So Dennis Prager here right off the bat is trying to feed us bullshit. It is actually the liberals who fucking appropriate leftist shit, not the other way around.
But they're not. Let me offer you 6 examples. 1. Race. This is probably the most obvious difference between liberal and left. The liberal position on race has always been A. The color of a person's skin is insignificant, and B. Those who believe race is significant are racists. Meanwhile,
Yeah, this gets really, really fucking stupid.
the left believes the very opposite. To the left, it's the
This is where he's getting like wildly fucking misleading.
liberal attitude toward race. It's unimportant. That is racist. That's why the University of California officially lists the statement, there is only one race, the human race, as racist. And liberals have always been passionately committed to racial integration,
fucking stupid.
while the left is increasingly committed to racial segregation, such as all black dormitories and separate black graduations at universities.
Okay, so let's talk about that and why that's fucking stupid. So, what he's doing here is really grossly twisting the facts on like different political attitudes towards racism. And what he is doing is what he is essentially doing is promoting this like negative stereotype of leftists, which are most of the people I've met who actually are into that stupid like woke segregationist shit. So many of them, they weren't even like leftists. They were like centrist fucking Democrats who just had their heads stuck. They were like they would always simp for the centrist Democrats and just have their heads stuck 6 feet up their asses, and are the people who are like shitting their fucking pants over Kamala Harris being the vice president, despite her history of contributing rather significantly to mass incarceration. I'm more thrilled about Joe Biden than I'm less like, yeah, I'll take Joe Biden and Kamala Harris over another 4 years of Donald Trump, the like open fascist, but yeah. But anyways, back to this. In reality, the actual difference between like based leftist ideas about this shit to a degree and like the idiot liberal ideas is that kind of shit like I'm colorblind. What that really means is people are, yeah, Harris is a fucking cop. What that really means is people are just being willfully oblivious to the ways and the sociological factors in which one's ethnicity or race will most likely end up having some sort of impact on their lives. That is what it basically means to be that colorblind shit and just kind of be like, race is insignificant. No, it is not racist to realize that. No, it is not racist to acknowledge and realize, yeah, you can't make me trust Kamala Harris either, Danklord. And yeah, it pisses me off that like there are people that are just like that people will like simp for her so hard. It is very important sociologically that we have like it is like an important milestone that we finally have someone in such a woman of color in such a high position of power. But Jesus Christ, her ideas still kind of, her history and ideas still kind of suck. But about this bullshit that Dennis Prager just asserted about leftist and liberal attitudes on race and ethnicity was just like a really disgusting fucking a disgustingly misleading summation that completely inaccurately distorted the fucking truth on an extremely complicated issue for the purpose of propaganding to a bunch of idiots that are gonna just like eat this shit right up. And how long was that segment? Segment was like 40 fucking seconds. Let's get on to the next line of bullshit.
2. Capitalism. Liberals have always been pro-capitalism because liberals are committed to free enterprise.
And Dennis Prager, that is not nearly as good as you think it is.
And because they know capitalism is the only way to lift great numbers of people out of poverty.
Debatable.
It is true
Very questionable. Actually, total bullshit. That's not even fucking debatable at all. What the fuck am I saying? Capitalism is a system that is designed to keep an entire class of people in poverty to fuel itself. Just like feudalism was, just like mercantilism, etc.
that liberals want government to play a bigger role in the economy than
Here we go with more. I can tell right now that this is just going to be more gross oversimplification for the purpose of making these cheap bullshit propaganda videos.
conservatives do. But liberals never opposed capitalism, and they were never for socialism. Opposition to capitalism.
Duh! This is actually, like, painful listening to this dude fucking talk, too. Like, I can't believe that marketing people at Prager U haven't told him, Dennis, stop appearing in the videos. You are a fucking asshole and nobody likes you.
And advocacy of socialism are left-wing values.
This is literally just like screeching buzzwords and not talking about what any of this shit actually means or consequences of it. Or any nuance whatsoever.
3. Nationalism. Liberals believe in the nation state, whether that nation is the United States,
Yeah, fucking woof. Nationalism is bad.
Brazil, or France.
Yeah, fucking ugh. Yeah, ultranationalists in all these places are the reason why the world is in the situation it's in right now, especially ultranationalists in the United States.
Because the left divides the world by class rather than by national identity, the left has always opposed nationalism.
Again, why is this a bad thing?
So, while liberals have always wanted to protect American sovereignty and borders, the left is for open borders. When the right...
Whoa. That is some straight up, like, a mask off fascist shit right there.
The left has always opposed nationalism. So, while liberals...
It's really funny to see these people simp so hard for straight up fascist ideals and be so shameless about it. No, it's not funny. What the fuck am I saying? It's absolutely fucking terrifying. But yeah, so
liberals have always wanted to protect American sovereignty.
This is so ridiculous. Just like it is implying that we will just like cease.
The left is for open borders.
That's literally great replacement theory in a fucking picture.
When the writers of Superman were liberals, Superman was a proud American whose very motto was truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah, now we're just like diving down the weird nationalism rabbit hole, and this is just fucking hideous. Jesus Christ.
But that all changed a few years ago when left-wing writers took over the comic strip and had Superman renounce his American citizenship to be a citizen of the world.
Jesus fucking Christ. And these people act like leftists are constantly offended by shit in comic books. This is unironic fucking idpol right here. I guess idpol's only okay when the fucking right does it.
The left has contempt for nationalism, seeing it as the road to fascism. Better that we should...
You don't say!
...should all be citizens of the world in a world without borders. 4. View of America. Liberals have always venerated America. Watch American films from the 1930s through the 1950s, and you will be watching overtly patriotic, America-celebrating films.
Yeah, that's creepy. And then these people call it bad when they look at some other country with, like, overtly, like, nationalistic, like... The problem with nationalism is that it creates this cult of a nation, which then ultimately leads to fascism when cult of the nation becomes associated with a personality and becomes part of that cult of personality. You see this with Hitler. You see this with Mussolini. You see this with Francisco Franco. You see this with, what the fuck was his name? Portugal, what was his name? Antonio de Oliveira Salazar, I believe, is what his name was. And, Brazil with their like really with Jair Bolsonaro and the past rulers there like Getulio Vargas had a really pervasive cult of personality surrounding himself. Supposedly leftist countries that are like run by a bunch of tanky scum like Stalin and the People's Republic of China with the Mao shit. This is all here, yeah. Just to like provide, like to at least in the sake of fairness, I will give examples of like supposedly leftist political factions creating this cult of a nation and merging with a cult of personality to turn something into some extreme totalitarian nightmare.
Virtually all produced, directed, and acted by liberals. Liberals were quite aware of America's imperfections, but they agreed with Abraham Lincoln that America is the last best hope of Earth. The left,
That's just fucking crazy.
however, believes the left is the last best hope of Earth and regards America as racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, violent, and imperialistic.
But notice how they don't try to like provide any evidence that that is not the fucking case. I can't believe that they try to like pass this off as educational material, and like there have been reports of teachers that agree with this shit trying to pass it off as educational material. What's up, Yusuf? Thanks a lot for stopping by. Yeah, we got our next battle coming up in 12 minutes, but in the meantime, let's continue ripping this Prager U video to pieces. I cannot believe that people take this fucking seriously.
5. Free speech. No one has been more committed than American liberals to the famous statement, "I wholly disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." But the left is leading the...
Alright, so what's really funny here is that's like straight up hypocrisy, because after this I'll show you a Prager U video where Prager U rejects the fucking Enlightenment, and that was a fucking Voltaire quote.
First widespread
really
suppression
rich
of free speech in modern American history, from the universities to the tech companies that govern the internet to almost every...
Hey, you're the people who worship free enterprise. What is so difficult to understand that like having to agree to a fucking website's terms of service is like a violation of your rights? It's not like they're demanding in order to use their service you let them stick a camera up your ass or something. Yeah, I can't stand these either, Yosef. They're so disgustingly... They're such bullshit. And people eat... It's like worse than Fox News, and people eat in the New York Post, and this is like the internet politics equivalent of like the National fucking Enquirer. This is so bad.
Every other institution and place of work. Of course, the left claims to only oppose hate speech. But putting aside the fact that the left deems hate speech anything it differs with,
this is bullshit.
Protecting what...
A lot of leftists also are not into the idea of like hate speech laws because of how they get abused, but it's still just... This whole video has been built on these really wild assumptions and generalizations and stereotypes involving extremely fucking complicated issues that could not actually be explained well enough in some easy-to-watch 6-minute video.
You or I might consider hate speech is the entire point of free speech. 6. Western civilization. Liberals have always championed and sought...
We'll let him talk a bit, and then we'll get to all the problems with this Western civilization bullshit.
To protect Western civilization, liberals celebrate the West's unique moral, philosophical, artistic, musical, and literary achievements, and have taught them at virtually every university. The most revered liberal in American political history, President Franklin Roosevelt, often cited the need to protect Western civilization
This is fucking rich because he did a lot of very, very socialist shit that Mr. Dude Man Dennis Prager would be screeching about here. And Franklin Roosevelt also did a lot of really, really fucked up shit that wasn't actually justifiable at the same time.
And even Christian civilization. Yet when
Woof.
President Donald Trump spoke of the need to protect Western civilization in a speech in Warsaw, the left-wing media, also known as the mainstream media, denounced him. They argue that Western civilization is no better than any other, and that Western civilization is just a euphemism for white supremacy.
And they're right. I can't hear anything but holy shit are my dogs going nuts outside. Holy fuck. Dog whistling. It is a fucking dog. The Western civilization shit is a fucking dog whistle. Here's why. This idea of what is Western civilization has constantly fucking evolved throughout history. Like, there was a time when the Greeks were like the West, and then everything else immediately to the east of them was like the East. Then there was also Rome. They thought they were like, we are the like great Western ones. Then in Europe, it was like all the Christian countries that were friendly with the fucking Pope rather than like being Orthodox or whatnot. And then it was eventually the like capitalist West versus the communist East. And now it's just this. Now it's kind of turned into this whole weird, like, European and North American versus global South kind of shit. And especially in modern political parlance, it is such a fucking dog whistle to be screeching about the ideas of Western civilization. It all falls back on shit that I've talked about pretty extensively before, where people like Dennis Prager here have this real tendency to think that whatever is the deal with society as it is like peak society. Like there is no way to actually improve it or anything. Or they'll claim that there are ways, but then you like try to cite ways that will actually try to improve society a bit, and they'll like just shoot it down. And a lot of people do that. A lot of the people that think that way, that we are always going to be in peak society, are the people who are like in power. And that makes sense because the current society benefits them. So it would basically be against their own interests to be in favor of actually improving society for all. But then there are people who are not in like positions where they are seriously reaping the benefits of the current society the same way like Jeff Bezos or Mark Cuban does. And those people, it's basically they're just brainwashed with this shit like, this is capitalism. This is the greatness of Western civilization. We can't let these communist, socialist, Muslim Brotherhood, Marxist, Democrat people infiltrate our government and try to bring down Western civilization, man. Ah! And then insert the 14 words right after that, and you have like, and that's basically that is basically what all white supremacist propaganda, no matter how like blatant or subtle, boils down into. All right, let's watch the very end of this bullshit.
So then, if liberalism and leftism are so different, why don't liberals oppose the left? In a nutshell, because they have been taught all their lives to fear the right. But as one
I'll just let it play.
of the best-known liberals in America, Harvard Law School professor Alan Dershowitz said, as a liberal, as an American,
Alan Dershowitz fucking sucks.
And as a Jew, I far more fear the left than the right. Dear liberals, conservatives are not your enemy.
Yeah, they are. The Trump administration should have shown everybody who's not a conservative that, yes, well, they're not really our enemy, but there is a reason to fucking fear these people holding power. Because they will spew this shit and then sit there and endlessly simp for it when their own leader does it. Unlike I, the libertarian socialist, am also very critical of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and they're not left-wing at all, might I add. But I'm not going to simp for Donald Trump because of that, of course. And also reverse, I'm not going to simp for Joe Biden really, really hard just because I think Donald Trump is even more disgusting.
The left is. I'm Dennis Prager. To help keep these videos free, please...
And you are also, holy fuck, this dude's literally a fucking con artist. This is disgusting. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Let's, Here it is. So remember how I was talking before about how Prager U, like, it rejected, like, did some video rejecting the fucking Enlightenment? Fuck off, ads. Here it is.
Modern science, medicine, political freedom, the market economy. All of them, we're told, are the result of a sort of miracle that took place 250 years ago. That miracle is called the Enlightenment, a moment in history when philosophers suddenly overthrew religious dogma and tradition and replaced it with human reason. Harvard professor Steven Pinker puts it this way: progress is a gift of the ideals of the Enlightenment.
I'm pretty fucking sure that this is the one where they, like, reject the Enlightenment.
There's just one problem with this claim. It isn't really true.
Yup!
Consider the U.S. Constitution, which is frequently said to be a product of Enlightenment thought. But you only need to read about English common law, which Alexander Hamilton and James Madison certainly did, to see that this isn't so. Already in the 15th century, the English jurist John Fortescue elaborated the theory of checks and balances, due process, and the role of private property in securing individual freedom and economic prosperity. Similarly, the U.S. Bill of Rights has its sources in English common law of the 1600s. Or consider modern science and medicine. Long before the Enlightenment, tradition-bound English kings sponsored path-breaking scientific institutions, such as the Royal College of Physicians, founded in 1518, and the Royal Society of London, founded in 1660. The truth is that statesmen and philosophers, especially in England and the Netherlands, articulated the principles of free government centuries before America was founded. So why give the Enlightenment all the credit?
Holy fuck, this is absurd!
Apparently, because it doesn't look good to admit that the best and most important parts of modernity were given to us by individuals who nearly all held conservative religious and political beliefs. The claim that all good things come from the Enlightenment is most closely associated.
Holy fuck! This is literally just like, oh my god, I gotta address all this bullshit. I gotta just keep listening and basking in the fucking stupidity of this video. Holy shit.
With the late 18th century German...
What he's doing is just, like, spewing, like, historical facts that don't actually invalidate the influence of the Enlightenment on the Constitution and just, like, modern society and governments in general. Acting like they do, and that we should just basically... And that the real hero of the time were these ultra-conservative people who worshipped fucking monarch. The real heroes of our, like, great idea of a country are these, like, old-time fucking European guys who worshipped the fucking monarchs they served.
Philosopher Immanuel Kant. For Kant, reason is universal, infallible, and independent of experience. His extraordinarily dogmatic philosophy insisted that there can be only one correct answer to every question in science, morality, and politics, and that to reach the one correct answer, mankind had to free itself from the chains of the past, that is, from history, tradition, and experience. But this Enlightenment view is not only wrong, it's dangerous. Human reason, when cut loose from the constraints imposed by history, tradition, and experience, produces a lot of crazy notions. The abstract Enlightenment philosophy of Jean-Jacques Rousseau is a good example. It quickly pulled down the French state, leading to the French Revolution, the Reign of Terror, and the Napoleonic Wars. Millions died as Napoleon's armies sought to rebuild every government in Europe in light of the one correct political theory he believed was permitted by Enlightenment philosophy.
Holy shit! This is also this idea that enlightenment, this is putting forth a bullshit idea that enlightenment philosophy is this gigantic monolith, and that there wasn't quite the diverse, like, there wasn't quite diverse thought among the many Enlightenment philosophical figures. Like, for example, they quoted fucking Voltaire, quoted Voltaire in just the other fucking Prager U video we were just watching. But at least I'm pretty sure that was a Voltaire quote. But let me guess, they would then go back and they're gonna go try to say this dude wasn't Enlightenment.
Today's cheerleaders for the Enlightenment tend to skip this part of the story. They also pass over the fact that the father of communism, Karl Marx, saw himself as promoting universal reason as well. His new science of economics ended up killing tens of millions of people in the 20th century.
This is fucking ridiculous. They love going, they love going by the Black Book of Communism, which is like a total bullshit book, and two of the co-authors disavowed it because the one, like, main author was a fucking lunatic. And also, if you use the same methodology, you can find that capitalism has actually directly resulted in the preventable deaths of, like, millions upon millions more people than communism has so far. And also, that this guy is suggesting, oh, what, the alternative, the world would be so much fucking better if everybody just, like, were, if there was still, like, an all-powerful absolute monarch of France? What the fuck?
So did the supposedly scientific race theories of the Nazis. The greatest
There's the one, like, right-wing government that they'll say is bad to try to make themselves look neutral.
Catastrophes of modernity were engineered by individuals who claimed to be exercising reason. In contrast, most of the progress we've made comes from conservative traditions, openly skeptical of human reason. The Enlightenment's
This is absurd.
critics, including John Selden, David Hume, Adam Smith, and Edmund Burke, emphasized the unreliability of abstract reasoning and urged us to stick close to custom, history, and experience in all things.
Adam Smith believed in a fucking invisible hand.
Which brings us to the heart of what's wrong with today's idolization of the Enlightenment. Its leading figures were not skeptics, open to what history and experience might teach us. Their aim was to create their own system of supposedly infallible truths independent of experience. And in that pursuit, they were as rigid as the most dogmatic medievals. Anglo-Scottish conservatives had a very different goal. They defended national and religious tradition, even as they cultivated what they called a moderate skepticism, a combination that became known as common sense. I think a lot about common sense these days.
This is fucking
as I see American
whack.
and European elites clamoring for enlightenment now. They rush to embrace every fashionable new ism, socialism, feminism, environmentalism, and so on, declaring them to be universal certainties and the only politically correct way of thinking. They display contempt towards those who won't embrace their dogmas, branding them unenlightened, illiberal, deplorable, and worse. But these new dogmas deserve to be greeted with some of that old Anglo-Scottish skepticism. Enlightenment over confidence in reason has led us badly astray too many times. I'm Yoram Chazoni, author of The Virtue of Nationalism for Prager University.
And whatever job you have in academia, you should be fucking shit-canned from it, if you have one. Holy fuck. And it goes without saying that I do not believe the Enlightenment was the, like, be-all, end-all of philosophy. Anybody who believes that any philosophy is like the peak superior philosophy and the be-all, end-all of philosophy, and that nothing else is ever going to be, like, better than this way of thinking is a fucking moron. It's really funny here seeing Yoram Hazony, like, talk about, like, shit on the Enlightenment for being dogmatic, while simping for extremely being extremely dogmatic about previous philosophies, really conservative philosophies. That shit is that shit is really way more fucking dogmatic than enlightenment philosophy is. Remember, most of these people he was simping for, the ones that weren't English, were serving these absolute monarchs. The Enlightenment is a big part of why that isn't really fucking acceptable anymore. Some English judge coming up with the concept of checks and balances does not fucking invalidate the simple historical fact that the Enlightenment philosophy is definitely advocates for significantly more like personal freedom than absolute monarchs and the other bullshit that was how the way things were run in like fucking 17th and 18th century Europe. And the French Revolution doesn't really, like, invalidate that just because the French Revolution went absolutely batshit. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw here, be sure to like and subscribe and go over to my Twitch channel for live broadcasts. If you would like to support future videos and live streams, go on over to my Patreon. I got links in the description below. Thanks again. Fuck. I can't speak right now. God damn it.